For all your real estate, financing, and investing questions, call the show's off-air number and speak with Mike Gray directly. 530-431-8586. That's 530-431-8586. Now, the Golden State Report with Mike, Amy, and Dave.
David Stone offers securities and investment advisory services through Osaic FA Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. Osaic FA is separately owned, and other entities and or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Osaic FA.
Welcome back, everybody. You are listening to the Golden State Report, heard every weekend on AM 1380. I'm Mike Gray with Morris Williams Realty, along with Amy DeBus from American Pacific Mortgage.
Hi, Mike.
And David Stone from the Sierra Consulting Group.
It's great to be here.
Yep, I've said the right name every breakdown.
You're doing well, Mike.
I am doing well.
And you remember our names, too.
That's right.
I know.
After 8 years of being on the show, you still remember me.
Yeah, I got one more to go to see if I can do this flawlessly this week. It'll be the first time in several weeks.
First time in several weeks. That's right. But I believe in you, Mike. I believe in you. I'm rooting for you.
I appreciate that. Dave, I want to kind of concentrate on, I just helped a client sell a home. Yeah. And I listed the home. And when I listed the home, I saw that they held it in their names.
Okay.
And so I asked them if they had a trust. I said, don't need a trust.
Ah.
Elderly gentleman.
Okay.
And I said, well, then you're okay with going through probate. Got a will. Won't go through probate.
Interesting.
I don't think that's right. He goes, I know the law. I study it. I don't need the trust. And if I got a will, I don't need probate. I said, I used to be a banker, and I know these rules
like the
back of my hand.
And he's in California.
Yeah. And so I thought to myself, I have been wrong before. and estate law is not my expertise. And so I said, well, it's not my expertise. I'm under the impression that if you have a will, you have to go through probate. Why don't you make a few phone calls? Because if I am right, that trust is going to save you a lot of money.
Yeah.
He said, well, I know you're wrong. And then 4 days later, he calls me back. I need to apologize, and I hate to apologize. that was the quote. I need to apologize, and I hate to apologize.
But based on his voice, it sounds like he hates to apologize.
Yeah. Who is this?
It's one of my clients, an elderly gentleman.
Should we give his name, Amy? No.
Yeah,
Amy's like, tell me
I
who
probably know him.
Yes, you do. I'm sure you do.
Anyway, so we ended up selling the house, and when we sold the house, I saw it was now in a trust.
Oh,
well, good.
So
Mr. Grumpy Client got a trust.
He got a trust, and all of his real estate holdings are in that trust now.
Oh, okay.
And so he had talked to a lawyer. He said, oh, yeah, if you just have a will, it's going to go to probate.
Yeah, that's one of the things people, I think, get confused about a will. Basically, what the will does, it opens probate.
Correct.
The will gives direction to the probate court of what you would like to have done with your assets.
And if you have a probate, the state of California gets us.
Oh, yeah. They don't do it for free.
No. They want a nice percentage of the value of your estate, regardless of any loans you may have against it.
That's right. So if somebody's listening right now and they're saying, well, I have a will, but I don't have a trust. And maybe somebody else is listening and they say, well, I don't have a will or a trust. Okay. And so the person that doesn't have any estate planning documents and doesn't have a will, that person actually will have the probate court make the choices for you. So the person that had the will, let's just say they had 4 kids and they wanted to give it equally to their 4 children. Well, that's the way the probate court is going to do it. But they'll still charge you for that, right? Where the person that doesn't have a will, they may make the decision, the probate court may make the decision to disperse their assets in a different way than what they actually maybe would have wanted.
It's the court's decision.
You bring up a good point. So a lot of people that I've come across do not believe that they need a trust because they feel that they don't have any assets.
Right. And that's a good question, Amy. Just if you think about, people ask me that question too. They'll say, well, when does somebody need a trust? Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not an attorney. I'm not going to practice law, though I have one in my office. Correct. Matthew D. Scott. We know Matthew, and he's been on the show many times. But I will tell you this. This is what I tell people as a personal CFO and as their certified financial planner. I tell them, look, if you have a piece of real estate, if you own real estate, or you have minor children,
Yes.
You need to have a trust. Now, the type of trust that's best for you and most appropriate for you, that's a whole different discussion because there's a lot of different types.
Correct.
But for purposes of our discussion today, I would just say, generally speaking, you should get a trust if you have a home or if you have minor children.
And please do not go on LegalZoom.com to execute that trust.
Well, it's better than nothing generally, but I would say yes, you should probably get with a professional. We are professionals. We believe in using other professionals that have expertise. I want to stay in my lane. And my lane is really directing the client and collaborating and coordinating with the attorney, with the CPA, with the mortgage finance person, with the realtor. Those are the sorts of things that we do. So the reality around why a trust, it's basically if you have a trust, you go, well, maybe I have a trust, right? Maybe you have one. But think about the trust as like a box. When you were a kid, you put all your stuff in your box, and you knew that was your stuff. I'm going to put it in my box.
It's a safe place.
This is my place. This has all my goodies in it.
Might even had a lock
right?
on it.
Maybe sometimes you had a lock on it, right?
Yeah.
But the trust is like your box. So if the all your stuff is not in your box, i.e. your trust, if it's not in the box or in the trust, guess who puts it in there? The probate court. And the probate court's going to charge you for that. They don't do it for free. So, there's this interesting, there's so many different ways of looking at estate planning, and that's why you really should work with an expert, right?
How often should somebody have their trust reviewed?
I tell people every 3 to 5 years, and if you have an event in your life that changes your life, based on maybe you lose a spouse or something like that, those kind of, or your children maybe are no longer minors and you want to involve them more in your estate, there's a lot of different reasons why it would be more often than that. But if you've gone 5 years, you should be meeting with your attorney. Estate planning is not an event that you do once and you stop. Estate planning is something that you should do. It's a process. So,
life changes, and your trust should change to reflect that.
Exactly. And if the tax law changes, then then you should maybe take a look at that.
So has the tax law changed recently, Dave?
It changes all the time. It changes all the time. In fact, we have a law that in 2025, December 31st, 2025, it is going to change again. And something called the sunset provision essentially gives the fact that they're going to reduce how much you can pass on to your heirs without the IRS getting in your back pocket. Now, the purpose of our discussion today is not to try to go through the details and what the numbers are. And I could do that, which I do all the time with clients when they're sitting in my office. But for right now, I would just say, look, the amount you can give away to your kids when you die is now going to change in December of 2025, so a year from now.
Unless they change the rule. It's just
unless they change the rule, right? And you've heard me say, Mike, what's the difference between death and taxes? And my response is, well, death doesn't get any worse. And when Congress goes into session, right? So they're going to change it. So hopefully they don't make it worse, right? So I don't know who's going to be in power in November. I don't know who's going to be there to make that change, because that group, the people that are getting in November. So we said at the prior segment, don't forget to vote, right? But those people who are in the Congress and in the White House and in the Senate, those individuals will make the decision of what's going to happen with that law. They can either change it to go back, keep it the same, or if they don't do anything, which is the more likely scenario, then it's going to sunset, which means that the amount that you give to your kids is going to be reduced by the estate tax. And that can be very expensive, up to 40%.
This is another reason, too, to sit down with somebody who's keeping track of these things. And one of the expertise you bring to the table, Dave, is as an estate planner, is being aware of some of these different things.
Yeah. Well, it's what I do. I talk about estate planning in every situation with every client because it impacts every single person. And the clients that you folks work with as well, they're homeowners or they want to be homeowners, right? So those individuals need to have an estate plan. And it's like, I don't have any kids. Okay. Well, do you have somebody you want this to go to? Are you going to give your home to charity? No. Well, I don't have any children, so maybe it's going to go to my brother and sister. Okay. Well, your brother and sister are going to be the ones paying the probate fees then. Right. So even if you don't have children and you have real estate, you should really talk to an estate planning professional
about the advantages of a trust.
Absolutely, sure.
There's the advantages are significantly stronger, in my opinion, and a lot of expert opinions, that if you, like you said, if you have kids or if you own real estate, the trust is the box you should have.
Right. And in the end, you really have to look and see, okay, well, what kind of legacy am I going to leave my family? And it's not just the financial part, right? Though that's the one we've been talking about. There is a financial legacy. And do you want to be the parent or grandparent or cousin or aunt or uncle or whoever, or brother or sister that left your sibling or your children, your heirs, you left them a bill? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's up to you. That's my opinion, and I think that you should try to figure out, well, how am I going to disperse my assets? How does the estate go? Where does it go into the future?
So, and most of us want to have a voice in that. We want to determine that.
Exactly, and that's what a will do, give the probate court direction.
Direction, yes.
And then the trust basically says, we'll let you do that, but the probate court won't make that decision. Someone else will, and that's going to be the trustee that you will name, who will take your place as trustee of your trust.
So if you have any questions about this, David Stone is a person that I would recommend that you talk to. And if you give us a call at 530-431-8586, I can put you directly in touch with him. Or you can go to our website, thegoldenstatereport.com.
Red roses too, I watched them.